Okay, my name's Dave Lockwood. I'm with Remove It Pros Demolition, and we own a demolition company down here in Florida. What I want to talk to you about is some comments that have been on our main site. Our main site is Remove It Pros Demolition. People were asking about thrift stores. Okay, I have been involved with thrift stores a couple of times. One I owned and ran. The other one, I helped my church set it up. Way back in the day, after the market crashed and we were starting all over, Logan and I got involved with helping a church create a thrift store. We started doing junk removal stuff, and a lot along the lines of that, I would get a lot of stuff that I would donate to needy people, thrift stores, Salvation Army, wherever I was close to. So I did that, and my pastor saw that, and he got really excited about it, and he saw all the huge gains we were making in a short period of time. So it was a very profitable thing for us, and starting all over, we needed that. We needed some way to segue back into I was headed towards the real estate business. Now I ended up in the demolition business. So my church saw us doing this drive around at night, pick stuff up off the curbs, junk removal stuff, and they thought that, hey man, this is a good way to segue into owning a thrift store. They kind of got me convinced to help them out and to or help them open up a thrift store. So I did. I thought, okay, that's fine. So what he did is he basically traded me off, had Logan in a private Christian school, and it wasn't fancy. It was like $500 a month, but it was a lot of money for us back then. So I did my own stuff on the side and sold stuff. And I was really just trying to do something, for the kingdom. So what I did is I got an inside look at the thrift store business. Now, he took what I was doing, which was not really the thrift store business at all. It was just any way I could possibly figure out that I could get other people's stuff that they didn't want and get it for as little money as possible. I was doing that. So we did all kinds of crazy stuff to do that. And I'll talk about that in another video. But let me tell you about thrift stores. Okay, here's my opinion about thrift stores. I'm not saying it's the only opinion in the world, but I'm going to give you my opinion and my experiences. So I think thrift stores are a very hard thing to run. The reason that they're hard to run is because, it takes a lot of quarters to make $1. It takes a lot of dollars to make $100. It takes a lot of $100 bills to pay the rent. The kind of labor that you're going to attract and be able to afford with a thrift store they don't work at the speed, or they don't use their brains enough to do what you need them to do. We started this thrift store. It was pretty successful, but it was all volunteer help. Volunteer help when you're dealing with church type activities, trying to get something done efficiently and effectively with people that are not getting paid. It's kind of funny. They want to donate their time and they want to do something for the kingdom, but it's kind of funny that they find every excuse in the world to not show up and to not follow through and to not do what they agreed to, and so on and so forth. It's kind of frustrating. So if you had 2 or 3 entrepreneurs in your family and you all did it together, you're going to be split in a very small pie, but you could make it work. The problem is, the kind of stuff that you sell in a thrift store typically is ordinary household stuff. And it's not very expensive even when you go buy it at Walmart. So you got people that are coming in there trying to get stuff for practically nothing. You're trying to keep the lights on. You're trying to pay for your labor, and then you get all this stuff in. And when you get it in, people, a lot of times they're bringing you their trash and they're bringing you a little bit of stuff you can sell. So your fees to get rid of everything are significant. The more you police it, the less people will come in. What I mean by that is if you really growl at them about bringing you junk, they're not going to bring you the good stuff. So that's just part of the ballgame. So the other thing with this is it has a lot of moving parts. In order to make it work, you have to rotate your inventory a lot. Think about a yard sale. The first hour of a yard sale, you sell everything that's worth anything. Within the second hour of the yard sale, you're haggling on those few things that you're in love with, but you end up selling them. Once you get rid of those first 2 hours, you're done. The yard sale's over. Most people aren't even going to go to a yard sale 2 or 3 hours after it started because they know all the goodies are gone. People that do a lot of yard sale stuff, they know that. I don't know if you know that or not, but it's true. The labor that you can afford and the amount of work that you can typically get out of that labor at that price point is not enough to get this done and you to end up with a profit. So what you end up doing is you end up buying yourself a job. So you don't want to buy a job. If you want to buy a job, just go work for somebody else and not have all the liability, because you're going to have rent, insurance, you're going to have the AC to pay for, the payroll, your stuff that you're going to use to mark your stuff, your computer systems. It's a lot. And it just doesn't make enough money. Okay. Not being negative. I'm just telling you, it's not what it's all cracked up to be. Now you can get 1,000 things out of an estate to bring back and sell, but you gotta clean them, find a place for them, store them until you have room on your shelves, switch your shelves out and rotate them on a nonstop basis. It's like kind of like you're having a yard sale every day. If you want people to come back, they got to see new stuff all the time or they'll quit coming back. And then you're going to get everybody trying to squeeze a nickel out of a nickel. They don't want to pay for nothing. So hard thing to do. I recommend if you're going to do this or you want to do something like that, go into the junk removal business, okay? And I'm not talking about the junk removal business that you see everybody doing and it's become very popular. There's not a lot of money in the junk removal business either, but there is a lot of money in the stuff that you get when you go do junk removals. There's a ton of money in that. I don't understand it. I don't understand why junk removal companies are not connected directly to a resale operation. And maybe some of them do, because a lot of this, it makes straight common sense. I haven't seen it. So when we do what we do, people think we're like brain surgeons or something. So to us, it's like, what do you mean? We get stuff that we don't have to pay much for and we turn around and sell it. So our junk removal business let us segue into the business we're in now, which is the demolition business. Now, I just happen to have a license in Florida, and that was a good segue for us. But the junk removal business, what it does for you is it gives you a lot of your time back. So a lot of the stuff we did before we actually did junk removal is we drove around in the rich neighborhoods and picked up the stuff that the perfectly good stuff that they were throwing away. And let me tell you something, it's not only the rich neighborhoods. When you're out of space and you're out of time, you need it out of the way, you put it to the curb. Most people hate throwing away perfectly good stuff. So if they're putting something to the curb and it's nice and neat and whatever, they'll set it up a little bit. A lot of times if your neighbor puts a washer and dryer out to the street, guess what? One of them works because one of them went out and they got a new set. They didn't want a non-matching set, so they got one. So you take them both back to your house, you test them out, you see which one's bad, and you throw them away. You'll be shocked at how many times you do that, and they both work. So you say, well, I can't lift heavy stuff like that. Yes, you can. You get a little ramp or a little trailer, a little inexpensive trailer with a ramp on it, get a two-wheel dolly, you wouldn't believe what you can handle. So 2-car garage, you can pack full of stuff, you can sell stuff like crazy. You get it, clean it up, put it on Craigslist, and don't beat the last dollar out of it. So if you made $200 a day selling stuff, if you did it for like a month, you're going to have 500 items on Craigslist. Now, Craigslist does charge now. There's like $5 a listing. So it's not as cheap as it was back when I was doing it, but Facebook Marketplace, they don't charge anything. So Facebook Marketplace is way better than Craigslist. But if you put them on both, you're going to churn through stuff pretty quick. So let's say you're used to making $250 a day. Well, that's one couch set, or it's 2 sets of mattresses, and then what happens is you end up having all this stuff. So you find a cheap place to keep them. What I used to do is I look for commercial buildings that have been sitting empty forever, and I would go in and talk to the owner and say, look, building's sitting empty. You don't have a renter yet. When you do get a renter, I'll get out of here. All I need, and I literally won't need no time hardly at all to do it. And I have a formula on how to do that because we move from location to location over time. And there's a little formula that I use so that I don't have to move the same stuff over and over and over. So anyway, there's my opinion of the thrift stores. I don't think they're a good idea. They're too much work. Not enough money to be made. The junk removal business coupled with selling the stuff that you get, now that is a muy bueno. You can build a business doing that so that you free up your time to build something that you love. So you spend 2 or 3 hours going out and getting stuff at night, you put it on Craigslist for an hour or two, and you go back to your computer programming or whatever it is that you're doing that's going to make that you fell in love with and that you can grow into. I think the junk removal business is amazing. We still do it. I got a $100,000 truck in the driveway. If I'm driving down the street and there's something on the curb, dude, I pull over and put it in my truck and I take it to our shop and we put a price tag on it and we sell it. I'm doing very well now. Okay, just to say, this has been about 17 years of doing the junk removal and reselling stuff, about 10 years of being in the demolition business. And we just stumbled on this demolition niche that we're in, and we still do the junk removal. If you see every one of my trucks and my rigs, they have gigantic signs on them saying junk removal. So it's Remove It Pros Demolition. This is our entrepreneurial site. We're teaching people how to do stuff that we have done, providing examples and inspiring you to go ahead and do it. The junk removal business lets you walk out of your job right away. All you got to do is look for unwanted junk that people don't want, nobody wants to mess with, but it still has some value. It's Remove It Pros Demolition Junk Removal Finds. Have a good day. Hope to see you on the next video.